If you've been online recently, you may have seen our pension adverts once or twice. But did you know that Abacus offers so much more than pensions? We have over 40 years experience, and with over 10 accountants we can provide accounting, payroll and tax planning services. We also have dedicated teams with professionals in company formation, trust and estate planning, funds and family office services. Visit our website at www.abacus.gi to find out more.
Thank you for joining us. The purpose of my talk this morning is really just to give a context to what we're doing and what Think Business, Think Gibraltar really is all about.
It is part of Gibraltar's growing international appeal that we welcome people travelling from so many places across the globe to share in our events.
Well, I began my remarks today by noting how significant the Gibraltarian insurance market is to the ABI, but more importantly to consumers in the UK. And we remain fully supportive of this market and of the choice that it gives UK customers.
So in the context of private clients, when they're looking at a jurisdiction that is reliable, stable, safe, we think we tick those boxes quite well.
Excited about it, and I think now is the time really for managers to start really looking at other alternatives other than just looking at the traditional, is it Luxembourg, is it Ireland in a post-Brexit world. I think now will be, what about Gibraltar?
So without further ado, I will hand you over to Malcolm, who will be facilitating to kick things off.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you, Denise, for setting up this and hosting this event. Welcome, everybody, and glad we've had the opportunity to be able to do this. And this is probably, I couldn't think of a better time to actually start talking about this than right now at the beginning of the year. So as we've already been introduced to Ben and Eddy and your respective positions and roles. The objective of this discussion is to cover off an area which Coinsilium will be focusing on, and Ben and RedFOX are already engrossed, embedded, and right down the rabbit hole in. Is this a new, for a lot of people, a new term called non-fungible tokens, or as we refer to them, NFTs. It's an area of blockchain. It's a fast-growing sector, and it's something that we believe is going to be a very hot topic in 2021. So without further ado, I'll start off by perhaps giving Ben and Eddy an opportunity to tell us a bit about themselves and their respective businesses. Coinsilium, obviously, I'm involved with Eddy, but Eddy's the CEO, so he's the guy who sort of rolls up his sleeves and gets on with it, and as does Ben. So perhaps let's start with Ben. Can you give us a brief introduction to yourself, and we will move into sort of RedFOX's role within NFTs in more detail a little bit later, but perhaps a little bit more sort of yourself and RedFOX on a high level.
Yeah, sure. So Ben Fairbank, CEO and co-founder of RedFOX Labs. So thank you very much for all attending. RedFOX Labs is a venture builder based in Vietnam. So venture builder, we build out companies for the fastest four sectors in the internet economy. for the Southeast Asian markets. One of our main focuses is RedFOX Games, and that is heavily entrenched, as Malcolm said, in the rabbit hole of NFTs. So we've just had 2 editions of our NFTs come out, and now just releasing our first on-chain mobile blockchain game, which is in closed beta. So very exciting times indeed.
Thanks, Ben. And Eddy?
Yes, hi everyone. So I'm the CEO of Coinsilium. Coinsilium is a company that is now a venture operator in the world of blockchain finance and crypto finance. We have been in time, started being traded on the Aquis Stock Exchange back in 2015, and now on both Aquis Stock Exchange and the OTCQB market in the US. And we are very pleased to be involved in this sector of NFTs. We started one project, which we'll discuss further later, and we're looking at different projects in this space. And so looking forward to chatting with you, Ben and Malcolm, in this webinar.
Thank you very much, Eddy. I think the best way we should start this off is really to give an introduction in as simple terms as possible about what are non-fungible tokens, NFTs, and how they came about. Maybe Eddy, you can start, and then Ben you can sort of jump to and fro.
Yes, sure. I think most people who either know about crypto or kind of new to this space. I mean, as we know, there have been several waves. I mean, I was in the 2013 wave, and some people came during the 2017-18 wave because a lot of people were talking about cryptos then and new tokens. At the time, NFTs were not so popular. It was more around what we call the fungible tokens, the tokens that help access different networks and run on different blockchain protocols, or maybe run on applications. But lately, I would say maybe a couple of years ago, the term NFT has been a bit more present in the conversation, and it makes sense because it starts to go into new. You cannot really use a fungible token. You have to use something that is identifiable and unique. So as the word says, basically NFTs are tokens that are non-fungible, meaning they cannot be exchanged one for one for another token. They are unique, and that's really the basis of, as we will see, a lot of things we can.
Okay. And Ben, perhaps you can expand on that particular reference to what you're doing as well.
Yeah, sure. So I'll probably talk about it in more layman's terms for people like me who are very not from technical backgrounds. So it was interesting to come across this type of technology and how it actually operates. And as Eddy stated, they're unique. So a lot of people think of NFTs as trading cards or pieces of art. The interesting thing is they are unique and they are individual. And I think one of the big problems that they solve is starting to really show ownership and identity. If you look at games and the world of tradables in games, there's a lot of fraud, online fraud. There's issues with fighting over ownership, and NFTs do a really good job of identifying themselves as being very individual and unique. What we did was we did a remake of the 90s phenomenon called POGs, otherwise called Tarzos and milk caps, depending on where you are in the world. And these were circular discs that look a little bit like casino chips, and they've got different types of pictures on them, ranging from cartoons to photographs. You collect sets and then you play them in a slammer game. So this just shows the versatility of what's possible. Now we're getting into visuals, clips, songs, music on NFTs. So it's really starting to evolve. But what we've focused on is building a platform of games where these NFTs can actually be traded and used across multiple games. So it relieves the issues of having Counter-Strike or someone shut down their servers. You've put in thousands of hours of work and you lose your precious items that you've bought and won. With a system like ours, you'd be able to take them across to other games, and you can buy, sell, and trade them as well. So it's a pretty exciting little world that's being developed, and we're in the very, very early stages. So it's untold as to how far this will actually go.
So we have the initial use cases are gaming and provenance, and there's potential other applications that are outside of that. But do you think these particular applications are perhaps the most obvious and the first iteration? Would you say, Ben?
Yeah, I think personally, COVID's kind of turned the world on its head, and there's a lot of people out there that have got content to share. If you look at music artists, they've been unable to travel and to put on their shows, and you've got conventional artists who are struggling to distribute their work. So NFTs kind of have sort of, I think their journey's expedited, because now an artist can come along with a piece of work, and we've seen young 15-year-old, 16-year-old artists auction off pieces of art for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the great part about it is you can actually monetize your work. You can actually create unique pieces or limited in number. And I think that this is something that's the industry's really sort of said art and collectible pieces such as trading cards have been the first use case for it. Now we're starting to morph more into the music and the gaming and also rights and all sorts of different property and licensing type of things as well. So it's quite exciting.
Okay, and Eddy, just another big expand on that, if you will. I think we've got a lag with Eddy.
For me, what is very exciting is the fact that sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, now.
Yep. Can you hear me? Ah, okay. Sorry. For me, what is very exciting is the fact that there is a huge area of crypto, which is called asset tokenization, and NFTs is very practical, convenient. Is probably the ideal way to go into asset tokenization, because although we started this whole space of crypto with fungible tokens, in reality, let's say in the real world, in the real economy, most assets are not fungible. Most assets are unique. So of course, when we talk about copyrights, like music, art, and so forth, or designs of some kind, then obviously we know that these are unique because they are protected. But in a very wide range of assets, each asset as well is unique, and even securities are not all necessarily kind of exchangeable for one another. So I think that's where there are a lot of opportunities combining the fact that you can tokenize individual assets, unique assets through NFTs, use the blockchain and the transparency of the blockchain and the fact that you remove friction. And I think we can go further there, but there are many advantages.
Thanks, Eddy.
Using
now,
NFTs in that sense.
We're going to break back to each individual company now, and sort of Ben, if you can perhaps give us a little bit of, or audience a little bit of an understanding of how RedFOX came into being, and interestingly enough, why did you choose Vietnam, and just how has your startup journey been to date?
Yeah, it's been very interesting. We sort of, being foreigners, when we say that we're Vietnamese based, people assume that we are Vietnamese. So it's quite a shock for people when they say, why did you choose Vietnam? You're from Australia. There's a wealth of opportunities in Australia. It's harder to do business in Vietnam. We're data driven. So we looked at the opportunity. We looked at the fastest growing markets. We really assessed what would be the best place for us to base. So we got over here. It's probably not known as being the most business-friendly country in the world, so it's a little bit hard to set up. But the opportunity is massive, obviously. Our startup had an interesting start because we ran head-on into COVID. It was bunkered down. But the thing that was very interesting for us is that we'd built a model on the 4 fastest growing sectors of the digital economy. And what happened when the world came to a bit of a standstill with COVID is everybody's attention was focused squarely on the digital sectors. So what happened was, in actual fact, we were sort of talking about the idea of we're going to build companies in e-commerce and e-media, e-travel, and these types of, and in gaming. And people sort of said, you know, you're probably a couple of years too early, and you're probably too early for Vietnam. So I don't know how this is all going to come together. It's ambitious. It's a big idea, but we sort of had a blessing from COVID in the sense that suddenly the model started to make a lot more sense and gain relevance then and there. And we just busily worked through the period of COVID, bunkered down, came up with the NFT gaming concept almost 2 years ago, which was very, very early to do something like this. And by the time we figured it out, because blockchain is not necessarily easy to use yet, it's not had the same type of runway as internet and some of the web-based applications. So it's still being developed and it's still finding its feet. And we hit a lot of hurdles, but we got given a little bit of time to sort of balance up and get that right. And it so happened that we released the NFTs at the right time. Market sort of broke at the same time. And what that's done is it's given us eyeballs to what we're doing in the other sectors and how it all fits in together. But ultimately speaking, we've seen the positive side of this whole thing. But Vietnam, and I'd recommend to anyone looking at doing a startup, they say you wouldn't wish a startup on your worst enemy, but ultimately, despite them being difficult and trying, we're extremely grateful and thankful that we chose a country that tested us, that made us constantly be on our toes. And it's not an easy journey. And to get a company that gets other companies, when startups have a high rate of failure anyway, but to say I'm going to go out and start up a lot of these is probably, you know, could have been seen as being delusional. But we had a very good model, very good plan. We stuck to it. We never deviated, and as a result, it's starting to pay dividends. And I think people are starting to work out what we're building now.
Okay, great. And out of your team, your core team, how many of them did everyone move over to Vietnam at the same time, or do you have are you spread out a bit?
Yeah, we're spread out, globally dispersed. I will say that the Vietnamese team was probably more stuck rather than got brought in. It was we're over there, we're developing, and then suddenly it's you can't fly anywhere and you can't go anywhere. But that's again another blessing. And it stopped the newer members having time with us because no one's been able to come and visit and spend time. But ultimately, we've had a lot of experience in dealing with multinational workforces across borders and remote leadership. So it hasn't been too different to what we would normally do, other than the fact that it's the world's been I can't recognise it. So we're just extremely grateful that also this area and region of the world in Southeast Asia, which has huge opportunity, they only have a 40% penetration rate in the digital economy. So these people are now starting to turn to and look at these options. So I think the spaces that we're involved in are obviously going to be massive over the next few years.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Ben. And over to you, Eddy. I mean, probably I don't know how many in the audience know about Coinsilium, but let's start, say, perhaps from a little bit of the history and maybe explain a bit as to how the last year's been, and also, as Eddy and I both know very well, our company Coinsilium has changed its strategy from being an early stage blockchain investor to a venture operator with a specific focus on decentralized open finance and crypto finance, and also including NFT. So perhaps also give a bit of perspective as to how NFTs fit as well into that sort of open finance model. There's a lot to do in one session.
Yeah, sure. Well, people who follow Coinsilium may have seen we published some articles around the world of decentralized finance. There is one model that I drafted called the coded income model, And actually, we started a conversation around NFTs as well at that time, because we were looking at different models using concepts like programmable cash flows, or identifying different assets and tokenizing different assets. So that's when we looked at NFTs, and of course we witnessed the emergence of DeFi mainly last summer. I mean, there was a period when from June to September, the total value of assets locked in DeFi platforms went from a few hundred million to more than $1 billion, and now it's several billions, more than, I'm not sure about the number, but I would say more than 10 for sure. So we are in, we're really in a period where there has been increased adoption of these platforms, and we have always looked both at decentralized finance and NFTs, because I think there are many touch points there. In terms of very precise NFT focused projects, we announced recently the Gibraltar crypto stamp, which is a project we're doing in association with RedFOX Labs, and this is our kind of a pilot project for us in this space, and of course not a pilot project for RedFOX Labs, which, as Ben was saying, has a great experience in.
We're okay. Eddy, we're having trouble with your sound. I don't know if there's anything you can do about it, but it's sort of bouncing, and it's as well as the delay, and I think it's frozen. So yeah, maybe we can come back with a better connection. Yeah, I think in the meantime, while we wait for Eddy to come back, perhaps. Yeah. Not sure if this isn't this. As I say, your connection's not great. So maybe Ben, in the meantime, while we hopefully get Eddy back, as Eddy alluded to, with Coinsilium is launching a crypto stamp project, which we're doing in conjunction and in association and partnership with RedFOX, which we're really excited about. And perhaps until we get Eddy back into the room on a more stable connection, we can discuss it a little between ourselves. So, you know, as you know, perhaps for the audience's benefit, we saw an opportunity in the stamp market because there are other crypto stamps have been introduced. Now Eddy's back. Can you hear us okay, Eddy?
Yes, actually the strange thing is I've heard you okay for the whole past minute or so. I didn't know. I didn't realize I had a connection issue. Sorry.
Okay, so maybe you could sort of. Yeah, we couldn't hear you at all. I mean, it was bouncing back as well. So before I go on to sort of hijack your spot, maybe you can just finish off what you were saying about the NFTs, and also about Coinsilium's year in 2020, which you know, obviously saw us going against the tide of COVID, but obviously making progress.
Okay, so I don't know exactly where I cut off. Did you hear? I was talking about the DeFi sector. Did you hear that part?
Yeah. We got up to the point where you were saying that this isn't this is a pilot kind of pilot. The crypto stamp is a pilot for Coinsilium, a meaningful pilot, but for RedFOX it's not a pilot because they've done this before.
Yes, exactly. Yes, actually, I haven't said that much after that. I was just explaining that, as I was saying, this is an important project for us because it's a first one in that space. It's looking good because I think the timing should be fine. There are more and more platforms coming up in the NFT space. There are more and more transactions. I mean, it's still very small compared to, let's say, crypto exchange transactions, but at the same time, there are price records. There are many artists, many new designs in the space. So I think there is a lot of activity in NFT that shows great potential. So I think that's where we are at this moment. That's why we're looking at this, because we're very early stage, in a way reminiscent of what we have done with blockchain before, in the sense that we came into blockchain in 2014, 15, investing very early on. So I think we see a similar potential here in that kind of subsection of blockchain in a way.
Okay, and let's maybe focus on this project, because we've got all the people in the room who have been working on it for the last few months, and now the hard work starts, I think, because we're going to be starting to put together all the things that's going to go on behind that. So I think maybe I'll outline from the Gibraltar side, as in the postage stamp itself, because they're two separate entities that meet in the middle, as it were. The Gibraltar Philatelic Bureau is issuing a postage stamp which will be commemorating cryptocurrency and the rise in them, and also the technology behind them, which is distributed ledger technology. Will also be, this is the RedFOX part, is the creation of a non-fungible token, which will be a kind of counterpart. And but it's a little bit more interesting than that, isn't it? So which one of you wants, maybe Ben, you start off on that side, and then Eddy, you can add to that. So when they get their stamp, and they then go to the marketplace, as it were. I don't want you to give too much away, and I'm sure you want to keep some of the excitement back. But in overview, what can people expect to actually get the other side once they've actually got their physical stamp? You're muted, Ben.
I think it's actually the melding of two worlds, and this is what's happening with NFTs, and it's the only way it's going to happen. As Eddy stated before, it's a good way to tokenize assets, and it's a good way to do a lot of introduce new technology to legacy industries as well. So the stamp idea has been. There's been variations of stamp ideas with NFTs before, but the good part about this one is it combines the two worlds. So the stamp collectors have a chance to collect stamps, and as you say, without giving away too much, it means that they'll have first right or passage at being able to get their hands on the accompanying NFTs. But these NFTs will then be available in the marketplaces as are all NFTs. So it's a really good opportunity for the traditional stamp collectors to also have a chance to dabble in collections of a different variety and cross over into the NFT world. And for those that are not really too interested in holding them for any longer period of time, but want to just sort of have a look and see how it plays out, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people waiting in the wings to snap up the NFTs that are resulting in this. But I think that this is a great showcase for Gibraltar as well. The fact that they've got an entity that is a respected entity that actually understands the technology, and it is cutting edge, and the opportunities that it brings with it. It's a testament to forward-thinking bodies that they can actually combine those two worlds. And I think it's wonderful. We're very thrilled to be able to do something that has this type of weight and this type of I guess importance.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. And I think before I hand over to Eddy, just to say that we were very, very excited about the potential that we actually saw once we started talking with the Gibraltar Philatelic Bureau, because our experience previously has been with Gibraltar Finance and everything that goes on the regulatory side, and the promoting the jurisdiction, the industry the jurisdiction as a hub for this industry has been taken as a given. But it was really great to see that there's another sort of government area that is keen to actually utilize this technology, and that's again another forward-thinking kind of entity that is actually helping us bring this together, and it's really exciting. And we hope to get I think it's already creating a bit of a buzz in Gibraltar, but we hope that once we start being able to sort of talk a little bit more about it, it'll be even more so. Eddy, was there anything you wanted to add to that? Because I'm conscious that you've been sort of having connection problems.
No, it's fine. I hopefully no more. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the world where connection problems are easy to get. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the stamp itself will be hopefully well, we haven't got a fixed date, or we have, but we want to make sure it's confirmed. But for the postage stamp, which will be in, we say Q2, so I think it'll be in the, sometime between April and the end of June, or March and the end of June, which will be released, and there'll be a lot of publicity around that. But obviously the NFT will be subsequent to that, and the people who buy the stamp will get a pre-reserved right to actually get their NFT early, because they'll all be collector's items. I mean, it'll be exciting to see how much they actually can start trading for, because this is an unknown quantity. But given that both the physical stamp and the NFT are limited editions, and if we're smart in the way these artworks are, the art and the collectability of them is concerned, which is what we're sort of trusting you to do, which is what you do best, I think there could be something that could be of great value to people going forward.
I think so, and I think there's a proven path there as well, and I think that if you put that side of things to one side, A, it's great exposure for Gibraltar. B, it's also fantastic to, as we say, adoption is a slow process, especially with developing technology. So it's good to have more and more audiences that otherwise would not have actually come into contact with this, sort of learn about how this actually works. And we've seen already with collectors' cards and traditional industries like baseball cards, for example, that industry is absolutely exploding on the NFT side of things. So it's only a matter of time before we start seeing other industries follow suit. But you're right, Gibraltar taking this type of a view or an angle, it shows you that government bodies that are progressive in their thinking and their ability to be able to act swiftly and to carefully plan that out, they're going to be the beneficiaries of these new movements for sure.
Yeah, again, that's great. I think maybe that leads us on to sort of the part where we actually talk about, we sort of fast forward maybe this, I was going to say fast forward 5 years, but this industry is so fast, it's probably, if you fast forward a year, you're going to be in a whole new environment. So maybe Eddy, you can sort of give us an overview, and from the perspective of what you imagine Coinsilium will be doing going forward once the stamp is sort of on sale and established, and what other areas and markets do you think are going to be interesting?
Well, I think once this has been done, we should be looking at applying a similar model. I mean, at the end of the day, collectibles can come into different forms and from different industries, and digital collectible is obviously a new sector. Blockchain has created what we call digital scarcity, so we finally can have something that is both digital and scarce. And I think, I mean, I see NFTs potentially having a great role in the way brands interact with their fans or their users or their followers. I mean, we see today, obviously COVID has kind of exacerbated the link between brands or celebrities or entertainment artists, etc., with their fan base, because before you had different channels, and today all these channels have become instantly, because there is no way to go to a concert, and even cinemas is more complicated today, right? So it means it puts even more emphasis and more relevance to the digital link, And we also know that social media have many issues, many problems, and actually some of them are the fakes. The fact that people could pretend, channels could pretend being someone, you know, I'm not going to deep fakes because that's a bit too futuristic, but you know, there are many ways to have issues on social media, and NFTs can either maybe solve some of these problems or give a completely new relationship with between fans, users, and brands. So, you know, as we know, brands and even, let's say, sports associations or entertainment companies, they're always eager to find new channels to monetize their assets and new revenue channels. And I think NFTs or NFTs combined with existing channels will become quite relevant and quite important. A bit like you know, we all know that music industry failed to see the advent of digital and internet music and so forth. And today we know that that's basically become the only channel for consuming music. So I think in the same sense, we could see a new evolution in entertainment and different brands, and having having fans consuming in a new way. And I think NFTs could have a central role there.
Ben, do you see any expansion on that? And you know, sometimes it's hard, isn't it, when you see a rich vein and you're going down that rich vein, and then you see other opportunities that are equally as enticing and exciting in the same sector, and the balance of actually staying focused to mine that vein and also ensure that you don't miss out on other opportunities.
Yeah, that's why I've had a couple of really good tutors in my life who have built big multinational brands, and they've always taught me to start with the end in mind. So we had a very clear vision of what we wanted things to look like at the end. So that helps a little bit with those deviations. But to add to what Eddy's saying, for people that are trying to grasp what this actually means and what NFTs are and this technology movement, you just got to think back to like the 80s. You had a phone or a pager, key rings, pocketbooks with your notepads. You had CDs or cassettes back in those days, and all the rest of it. You'd have if you had a collectible, for example, a Guernsey or a piece of art, people would have to come around to your house to see it. Everything is on demand now. All content is not through books and through TV. It's on your phone. It's with you. So if you can't take everything from the traditional world that we've seen as being valuable before and be able to get access to it wherever you are to show people, not only does it make it easier for the world to progress very quickly, but also it actually adds value, because it means that I don't have to bring people to my house, or I don't have to lug things with me. So the thing is that this is a natural progression, and we sort of very much see the fact that for us, if you think of things in I know that's a very crude and simplistic way to think of things, but if you use the past as a reference for the future, the fact is we see the path for RedFOX Labs and for NFTs and for this technology as being extremely clear and simple. It's a matter of, can the technology move fast enough for us to meet requirements, and can everything come together in the right way? But like you say, the opportunities are so huge, it almost feels as like you've gone in a time machine back in time and you know what's coming next. So what you need, and especially that's the case in developing economies, it's really just a matter of saying, where is everybody going to end up? Where is this going to end or lead to? And how do we be there now, ready for it, for when it does come? So we're trying to think 10 steps ahead, and we're trying to think about how all of these things would be together. So we think of NFTs and the parcels of crypto technology as being the phone with everything on it. And we've had the great fortune of going back to the 80s, and we're trying to say, how do we get all the things that people have with them into the palm of their hand? And so that's the tremendously exciting thing about this industry.
And maybe both of you, we know the crypto world pretty well, and how it's sort of kind of developed, but our sort of take on this is that there's a lot of, it's sort of forking a bit. There's people that are looking at the financial open finance sort of model, looking at the token prices and really sort of establishing themselves with those projects. and then there's this new wave of people who are, I say new for us, they've probably been at it for a while, who are really so sort of captivated by this whole area. Do you see? I mean, perhaps Ben, you give us an idea of the profile, if that's easy to do, the kind of people who are, because you've got a token and your token is traded as well. So what's your kind of audience for RedFOX? Like, how would you describe them? Probably some of them are here. So
it's a great question, and the thing is that I always say, don't ask me a question unless we want the right answer, because it's I just say it how it is. But the thing is that this world is everything that you would expect in a developing world. It is full of opportunists. It's full of people that are here for quick flips and money. It's also people that are actually interested in the technology. I think that that's a bit of a borrowed sentence, because a lot of the technology can't actually be used yet. So they're here for the tech that they can't actually use. But the thing is that we've got a lot of passionate people that take the time to understand how the project is evolving and how the space is evolving. But even the people that are building it, you think about the traditional world. You've got an amount of capital that you can deploy to build and all the rest of it. You've got investment money coming in. In this space, you've got a token, and you've got money, and the token can be going up and down in value, and you could have double pools of money. And the thing that people don't understand is that money does change people, and it changes their motivation towards accomplishing and finishing things. So what I think is really important, and I can't wait to fast forward it, is get past the hype, get past the conjecture, get past the snake oil salesman selling you something that can never possibly transpire, but preying on your lack of understanding of the space. And I think that we're going to slowly progress. And don't forget that the industry is largely measured on how many transactions are happening on a chain. The only reason that that's a very, very important indicator is because there's no revenue or customers. So as we move forward and we start having revenue and customers, these businesses will stand out. And what will happen is people say, when will the blockchain space sort of compete with the traditional space? The blockchain space will become the traditional space. So unless you've got customers and you've got revenue and you've got a product, you are full of hot wind, and it is a big thumb suck and a let's hope and see what happens. So I know that's probably pretty colourful, but that is the truth. And the thing is that those that have an actual product, a desire to provide a great quality of service, don't have a heap of cartoon characters on their team and anonymous people. You can use the fallback that Satoshi was anonymous, but that was for a very good reason. Anybody anonymous now is probably not doing the right thing. So I would say look at what you look for in traditional businesses, and look for the teams that are actually putting out products and actually getting customers and revenue streams. They're the ones that'll stay around.
Okay. Very well put. And Eddy, what do you think? Look, we lived through the ICO wave, and Coinsilium did very well out of that. As an advisor, we tried to pick the right projects, but not always easy, because everyone is trying to seduce you with how good their project is and how big it's going to be. And I think we came out of it on the right side, but it was a very, very big year for Coinsilium. With the NFT kind of movement, and possibly all the other things that are coming in, how do you think this is going to compare to what happened in history with the kind of actors that you imagine in this space? So 2021, because we think this is going to be the year.
Yeah, I agree with Ben that we are going to get out of this this phase of overhype and the fact that everybody's selling something, and going to a place where people are building things of value for people. I mean, as usual, the one of the, apart from the transaction numbers, the other numbers that people look at are number of wallets, and I think that's a good indication as well of adoption. And as usual with all technologies, like it happened with the internet before, you need a mass. Netflix couldn't do that well in 2002, or because you need a mass number of people out there with either a wallet, obviously an internet connection or a mobile data connection first, but then you need a wallet. It seems obvious, but that can be a barrier to some people for using crypto. And of course, NFTs. They have a wallet, and now you have many more people than 2-3 years ago who have wallets. Many more people who have learned about crypto. And as we know, it takes a while to between the time you first hear about Bitcoin or crypto and between the time you maybe buy one or try crypto, it could be 1 year, or it could be more. So I think we're getting into this phase where a lot of people who have heard about crypto start actually using it. And of course, the people who have been using it for a while, they can see the value and they can start comparing smartly different propositions out there. So yeah, in that sense, and then you put that to one side, and then there is the other side, which is the corporate involvement. Finally, very large organizations, very large corporations. The one that usually comes to mind is MicroStrategy, because Michael Saylor made so much noise around it and positive noise for crypto. And as you may know, he's also organizing a conference in about a week's time, mainly for corporates, so that he can explain to them in a very open way how to adopt Bitcoin, how to integrate, how to solve the accounting troubles, etc., how to have Bitcoin on your balance sheet, basically. So the corporate wave, I think, that we were expecting maybe earlier is definitely here now. And that's going to help, of course, as well, in terms of liquidity, in terms of adoption. Because once very large companies start saying, yes, well, actually, crypto makes sense, it's going to be here, it's here to stay, it's going to be here on the long term, then I think everyone else will pay even more attention. So I think this combination of more wallets, more users, and more corporates, should make 2021 a very good year. And of course, at Coinsilium, we should take advantage of both areas, both on our portfolio side and on our new venture side, because as we're doing with RedFOX and with people like Ben, who are visionaries in that space, we want to team up with good companies and good people, and we want to build very exciting things. And as a listed company, we cannot say today everything we're going to do, but we can say to people that there are great, exciting projects coming up.
Okay. That's great. I think sort of maybe to wrap it up before we ask people, please feel free to start. If you have any questions, then feel free to start putting them in the chat now. So we've sort of given a bit of a synopsis of what we see for next year, but how much do you think the space, I suppose, sort of digging back again, a lot of the people who, Bitcoin is going to be the central theme of Michael Saylor's and MicroStrategy's conference, but maybe people don't understand how that permeates down to the sectors that we're in and the tailwinds that creates for the whole industry. So maybe Ben, can you and Eddy add to that if you can sort of give people a little bit more sort of clarity of how you join those dots?
Yeah, I think this year is going to be, for my mind, regardless of price action, I think this is going to be the year where we sort of see the end of huge speculation, because the speculation will become realization at some stage, and we're going to have to start sorting out the wheat from the hay. So I think this will be the last year of speculation, and I think this is the most likely year that we'll see a tremendous run up. What you'll then see, I think, is the same with all new technology adoption movements. You'll see a lot of the lesser ones fall by the wayside, and some new big Facebook, Amazon type companies emerge from the rubble. And what you'll see is more sustainable, boring stock market type 2, 3, 4%. Now, what I mean by that is what I mean by that is people in crypto are used to seeing 30% swings in a day. So this is, I think this is that'll end soon, and that's a sign that the industry is reaching maturity. But people come in through Bitcoin almost always. And what they do is they think, hang on, I'm still early. They see how early they are as far as the tech's concerned, and then it trickles down to the projects that are developing in the same space. So if you've got a project, you've got products behind you, this is the year. And if you don't have products and you're first starting out as a brand new concept, like a white paper, for example, then you'd have to move pretty damn quickly. But if you're in position at the right time this year, I think we're going to see the next big companies emerge from this space.
Okay, great. Eddy, anything to add to that?
No, I think that this is the same topic I was talking about before. So equally optimistic about 2021, and yes, also eager to go move this post speculation period. But yeah, I think we're getting there.
Good. Well, thank you both for Ben, Eddy, for your time and for hopefully helping us give the audience an insight into this, what we believe is a very exciting and obsessive space that we're in. You sort of tend to live and breathe it. Denise has now joined us, so I'm happy to take questions from the attendees now.
So thanks very much. That was a very exciting session with the announcement of the projects that are going to be partly from Gibraltar and obviously involving RedFOX and NFTs is got us a lot of positive feedback today. So our first question, I'm just going to jump right in. Actually, we have two from Omri. How can NFTs facilitate distribution of content is one. And how do you mitigate the off-the-chain risk in NFTs transactions when it comes to the tokenization of real assets? So I don't know, maybe Ben or Eddy would like to answer those.
Yeah, go first, Eddy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's when we talk about a new relationship between content owners or brand owners and users, I think again, it is more NFTs will help in the transparency, authentication of the origin. I mean, that's a usual blockchain feature that works very well as well with NFTs. So making sure that the content is coming from the right source. Distribution itself, will, if you're talking technically, I guess that will always come back to the to the usual infrastructure. But if you talk about payment, for example, we know when as soon as we go into crypto, then obviously there are possibilities for cheaper transactions, less intermediaries, quicker settlement. So I think there are a lot of the usual, less friction, a lot of the usual advantages that come with consuming any type of service through the blockchain that can be, that can come here into play. Again, you're talking distributing when compared to streaming. We're not saying that NFTs will replace, for example, a technology like streaming, but NFT could complement a technology like streaming. So basically, you could be streaming, and an NFT could be there to either authenticate the content or to reward or to pay for the, in a way, pay for the content. Then how do you mitigate the off-the-chain risk in NFT transaction? Yes, that's a very good question, and shows that you know the the in and out. I would say it would take a bit more time to go into that. So to make it a bit for a quick answer, I would say that this always comes down to how, which blockchain you're going to use and what kind of, let's say, I mean, it would take a bit longer to go into that part, I would say, into that part of the question right there. Maybe I let Ben give it a try.
Yeah. So the first one, just to add to what Eddy said, you talk about how would it facilitate the distribution of ownership, and you can't see distributing content when compared to streaming. The thing is that if I look at videos and streaming now, I can say what happens if I eat a peanut if I have a particular allergy, and there's an internet doctor that tells me I'm going to die and another one tells me that I'm going to be stronger. The information and the flow of information is very much random, and everybody can do that. So NFTs can actually help to authenticate not only piracy, it can also help to legitimize and give you trusted avenues to distribution of content, which I think is very important. And then how do you mitigate the off-the-chain risk in NFT transactions? The thing is that the great part about it is they're created on-chain, so there's always a reference point that you can go back to try and look it up. Now, if you think back to a very archaic example would be that you have serial numbers scratched into an engine of old cars. There's a way that you can actually verify that this is a bona fide legitimate type of a product. So the thing is that it doesn't matter if there is an element of off-chain or component with that. It's a matter of saying that we have a source to reference to make sure that this is legitimate, and there is a way to verify this. So for adoption to happen, there has to be some sort of ability for there to be off-chain transactions of sort. Otherwise, we can't get physical assets into NFTs or against NFTs.
Yeah. Yes, and to add to what Ben is saying, I mean, to be clear, for people who may either be familiar with NFTs, maybe they have bought some before, or if they're not, you always have to be careful, because obviously what blockchain does, it authenticates the source. Now, if the product or the art at the source or the content is actually not authentic itself, so it's, for example, not coming from the right source, or if it's something copyrighted but has been copied or counterfeited, then basically you're inputting kind of corrupted data into the system. And you could have, obviously, you could have an NFT which is representing a fake or corrupted data as well. You know, not the fact technology is not solving human interactions, right? So if somebody's trying to do something with ill intentions, it always happens. So in that sense, NFTs don't solve all the chain issues. So, but there are ways to combining NFTs and blockchain so that you minimize, let's say, these risks, but you don't, well, as you say, mitigate them. Yes, but the technology and the actions to mitigate this risk, again, that would take a bit longer. But I'm happy to answer to Omri by email or a different way.
Great, thank you so much. We do have a bunch of questions to get through in the Q&A box. So Malcolm, quickly over to you. I have a question, and I don't know if you can say it yet, but how many expected crypto stamps would there be for the initial release?
We actually know how many there are, but we can't actually say it yet, because it'll be a part of an announcement that will be put out with, which we have to do in a kind of a, as a public company, we have any announcement we have to make to the market first, and then that will be disseminated. So once we've made that public, along with other details, the date of sale and various other things like that, then we will be able to talk to say specifically, but it will definitely be a limited number. That's the whole point.
So we have a question from David Fryer here. What blockchain will the NFTs be built on? And will there be any platform for secondary trading? I guess this is Ben.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, and I don't want to tread on any toes as far as the actual announcement is concerned, but we're heading towards being in a space where the NFT market and industry is evolving so quickly that we're very, very close to being able to be interoperable as far as the trading and the marketplace side of things are concerned. So yes, it would be definitely on secondary marketplace trading and on some of the very well-known marketplaces for trading. But as far as the let's save the surprise for later as far as the technology side of things is concerned, because there is every week in this space options aplenty emerge, and it's going to mean that where it's built is going to become less of a concern as long as it's accessible everywhere.
Okay. Great. So Karen's asking, giving a little bit of history on the NFTs from CryptoKitties back in December 2017 to digital art in-game assets, esports, music rights, postage stamps. We've seen how the NFT space has grown to encompass a range of different assets. Where do you see the biggest growth occurring in terms of the types of assets that will be relevant to the NFT space?
Who wants to answer that?
Maybe Eddy.
I think probably both Ben and Eddy. I think you should maybe Eddy start. Yeah.
I mean, to be clear, until now, the main assets that are being transferred on blockchain are basically crypto assets. So they are the main coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., and the tokens, and it's already representing hundreds of billions of market value. But as I was saying, we're moving into this world of asset tokenization. So I think the real asset tokenization from the real economy, which means real estate, which means financial securities, these assets will dwarf really the crypto assets that we know today. So we know today we are about $1 trillion right now of market cap of all the cryptos combined on various levels and different types of tokens. But if we start tokenizing financial, stocks and real estate and derivatives and other assets that are in the world, I think obviously we're going to pass that very quickly. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where the potential is. The potential is in the kind of overall tokenization of assets in the next years.
Ben?
I think he's pretty much hit it on the head. I think it's going to be. I think the finance world is going to change tremendously as a result of all of this, and I think that what we're going to see is might sound abstract and hard to sort of fathom, but I think also IP and a lot of the way that I think a lot of IP and software, everything will go towards the same sector, and that'll make much more sense in 6 months from now when people start to wrap their heads around how that can take place. We want to do some of that, so it's probably best not to talk about exactly how to do it.
So we'll carry on with some more questions from Karen. He obviously knows his stuff. So what is the current state of liquidity in NFT markets? How tradable are they? And where do you see the biggest trading activity occurring for NFTs?
Probably Ben as
That's
well.
More for Ben.
Yeah. So the markets are pretty small as far as liquidity is concerned, but they're growing. Like, for example, we've done about $1 million in the secondary markets, and we're in the top 10. Whereas, you've got the NBA Top Shots, which has just come out. They did about $3.5 million in one day today. So the big IPs and the big brands are coming across, and people are waking up to it. So ultimately, it comes down to how easy it is to get your hands on those things. If you have to sort of get a PhD, swim across the English Channel and do 10 naked cartwheels across a field of thorns before you can actually get them, then it's never really going to take off, is it? So ultimately, it's a matter of making it as familiar for people as they possibly can. So it has to be from the perspective of using whichever types of currencies that they're comfortable with, same types of login methods as normal. And we are progressing towards that. Solutions are coming, and that's where you're going to see the liquidity. The barriers of entry for crypto so far have been ease of being able to get your hands on it. And that's going to be exactly the same for the NFT market. They have the benefit of having learned from crypto's mistakes.
Okay, so we have a question about the traditional stamp collectors, and we don't know yet what they're going to say, but how do you think this initiative is going to be received by traditional stamp collectors? And obviously, having worked with the Gibraltar Philatelic Society, I don't know, Malcolm, maybe you want to...
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah.
I got.
How do you think traditional stamp collectors are going to receive the initiative of the Gibraltar crypto stamp and the NFT?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I think that we have this discussion internally and also with the Gibraltar Philatelic Bureau as well, because the physical stamp is going to look very much like a traditional presentation pack with a stamp. There's no reason why they would get anything less than what they'd expect, and provided it's collectible, as in the sense it's a limited edition, it's giving them what we would hope they would want and expect. But because there's an element of the extra counterpart, it's a bonus. It should be a bonus. So we're hopeful that they would not avoid it because of the subject matter, but accept it because it actually is delivered when they order it in the same format as any other stamp they'd collect. And whether they decide to register for the NFT counterpart will be entirely up to them. Hopefully they will, because it could pique their interest. But I'm hopeful that that we will get them interested enough to actually at least go for the NFT counterpart. And of course, with the knowledge that once that sort of pre-reserved period is exclusivity is expired, that NFT will be available subsequently for other people to purchase.
I do have a question here from Graham asking about Riff Coins and setting up a wallet. So I think probably the best thing for Graham is to send an email, because this is something a bit of a different topic. I don't know if you want to take the question.
Well, Eddy, maybe just, I mean, he wants to know how to set up a wallet for and then...
Yeah. I sent one example of a wallet, which is a good one called MyCrypto. MyCrypto is a good one to set up. Just have to be careful that when you open a wallet, Riff is on its own network, its own blockchain called the RSK blockchain. So you have to choose RSK mainnet as a blockchain of the network that you're using to transact with Riff, right? So Riff is the token of the RSK blockchain.
Cool, thanks. I think we're going to take the one last question from Irina here in the chat, which is regarding real estate tokenization. There were many efforts already during the first wave of ICO and STO, but legislature structure in some countries does not recognize it for a number of reasons, like ownership registration does not comply. So in terms of max raise funds or real estate registration or without permits from financial authorities, how different will NFTs be?
I can have a stab at it, or you go first, Eddy.
No, you can go.
Okay, so in Vietnam, for example, we're seeing models emerge where, for example, let me give you a clear example. So 60% of buildings have to be reserved for locals and only 40% can be sold to foreigners, for example. So what's happening now is we're seeing these types of early emergence of NFT models being proposed, where people can actually purchase a percentage of an NFT which represents ownership of a group of houses or dwellings, which makes it liquid, makes it that you don't actually have to own the property. And I understand that's very different than buying a place, but this just goes to show you that people are working out ways that you can have a partial ownership in real estate that is allowing you with liquid options. And these types of models we're going to see, this is the very, very, very beginning, but this gives you an example of how people are using parts or fractional ownership of NFTs to be able to participate in something that they know is verifiable.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some of the arguments that are pro, let's say, NFTs used in real estate. I agree. So liquidity, obviously, because it's much easier to be, 10, 100 people to buy something very expensive like real estate. And then, of course, you have to manage it. So there are other services that should come around that. But the interesting part of the question from Irina as well is that, NFT is a technology. And as we know very well, especially in the world of crypto, all the entrepreneurs and the investors, there's always been, regulation has to catch up, right? So, I mean, we're talking now, Malcolm is in Gibraltar, and we are in Gibraltar because the jurisdiction has taken a proactive stance on crypto, and they have a DLT license, and they have done many things positive with that. But there are many countries where this hasn't happened yet. And the issues that Irina is mentioning, like registrations and financial authorities, is something that has always occurred in crypto and blockchain. So you always need, of course, something. As soon as you go into the real economy, you need the real economy and the jurisdictions to recognize the technology, to recognize that, for example, a digital asset has a value, and it can be, deliberated in court that it is an asset, and it's not different from another type of ownership. So, but again, when you say, the question is, how will it be different with NFT? The simple answer is it's not different because you need the regulatory part to be solved. The technology is just different. So you cannot solve regulation issues with technology. Unfortunately, the only way to solve regulatory issues is to have regulations be updated. So we are talking about NFTs as a new vehicle and a new way in the future for solving problems. But again, as soon as we have interaction with the real economy, actual regulations need to be changed or adapted. Yeah.
Great. So I think we're going to wrap up this session for today. It's been great. I think everything we've discussed is a testament to the work that Gibraltar is doing to both attract new business projects and startups. So it's great to have you join us today and talk about all of this, and also putting us on the map. Mark, thank you very much. I'm Denise Matthews, the Chapter Director of Startup Grind in Gibraltar. Just a quick thank you to everybody who's joined us as an attendee today, and to our sponsors, Gibraltar Finance, who have worked very hard with the Financial Services Commission to make regulations possible, and also Abacus Gibraltar, who are one of the local companies that offer all kinds of services to both businesses and startups. So again, thanks for joining us, and super excited about the year of NFTs. Happy 2021, everybody, and hope to see you next month. Thank you, Malcolm.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Denise.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
See you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Malcolm. Bye-bye.
Bye.